Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our very first hybrid pitch breakfast event. We've got a couple people here. We've got our panelists and our pitchers here in the room. You guys are allowed to clap, make some noise, get this event started. We're super excited for making this a hybrid event because it means it's our first step in having our live events that we all love so much, that we've been doing now for over 9 years. And we're super excited to get back in person, but we wanted to make sure to take some steps. And so we're starting our first hybrid event off here at FinTech Generations. We're at Avid Exchange, where we're shooting FinTech Generations, and we're very appreciative for them to let us use their space. For anybody who has not been to this event before, this is Pitch Breakfast, Charlotte's premier pitch event, and one of the best networking events in the startup community in the Charlotte area. We are going to have some virtual networking after this, so if you have that Zoom link, be sure to keep that. As soon as the presentations are over, we're going to go into the Zoom rooms and have a chance to network virtually with all of the presenters that you're going to see here today. So again, this is Pitch Breakfast. My name is Juan Garzon, Executive Director of Innovate Charlotte and Pitch Breakfast, and we are thrilled to have you here today. So I mentioned before that right now we're halfway through, or this is day 3 of the FinTech Generations Conference. One of the things that the FinTech Generations team has done is anybody who is on this Pitch Breakfast call today that wants to check it out, and they've got some great speakers lined up for today and the rest of the week, can do so by using the code RTLVIP. So if you go to the fintechgenerations.co website, you can buy a ticket, enter the code RTLVIP in order to get access to the conference today and the rest of the week. So we're really hopeful to see a lot of you guys there. This hybrid event is also a chance for us to try something new. We actually are hosting 4 viewing parties. And so some of you on this live stream are watching this from one of the 4 live stream viewing party locations. So we want to give a big shout out to everybody over at Advent Co-working at Cabarrus Center, Flywheel's location in Cabarrus Center, Flywheel in Winston-Salem, and also the Hurt Hub in Davidson for the viewing parties that they're hosting this morning. So this is a test. We want to see how these go, and we want to see if this is something that we continue doing in future events. So the way this is going to work is after we get through all of the introductions, we're going to start the presentations probably right around 8:45. And then we're going to open up the networking rooms once all 3 presentations are complete. Again, this is a chance for you to network and also meet some of the presenting founders that we're going to have here today. Ask them questions, connect with them. But if you have questions during the presentation, feel free to send those via the Vimeo chat if you're live streaming on Vimeo, or on Twitter. You can participate in the conversation with our Twitter handle at Pitch Breakfast. You should see that on the bottom of the screen on most of the slides. All right, now this event is not possible without the support of all of our sponsors. Some of the sponsors have been with us almost the entire 9 years that we've been hosting these events. And so we want to give a big shout out to Spengler & Agins, who are attorneys for Charlotte's startup community. Spengler & Agins are great to just ask some questions about formation, getting your company ready to go after financing, or anything else legal that might come to mind. Definitely give Spengler & Agins a call if you want someone to talk to. Pretty much anything legal that Spengler & Agins does, other than IP, anything having to do with intellectual property or patents or anything like that, NK Patent Law has been a supporter of Pitch Breakfast, and that's all they do all day long. They specialize in these types of intellectual property issues and are great people to talk to if you've got questions about that. We also have Dual Boot Partners. Dual Boot Partners is a longtime partner of ours and also a technical partner to several recognizable startup companies in the Charlotte area. Dual Boot Partners can act as your technical co-founder. They also have tons of different services and ways that they work with companies to help them improve their software, upgrade their platform, and really just get their technology down correctly. The other thing about Dual Boot Partners that's always good to know, especially if you've got a member of their team in the viewing party with you, or if you run into one in the Zoom room, is that they are fantastic connectors. So if you are new to the startup community, you're looking for connections even outside the world of technology, the team of Dual Boot Partners are great people to talk to. And last but not least, Powderly Vuchnik. They are our accountants. They're accountants to a lot of small businesses and startups in Charlotte, and they are fantastic people to talk to really get your accounting and financial house in order. Great people and fantastic supporters of Pitch Breakfast. So we want to give all of these companies a virtual applause and a big thank you for supporting us all of these years. Now, you can't have a couple attorneys on your partnership board without having a legal disclaimer. Our legal disclaimer is that Pitch Breakfast is an event that is educational in nature, and that the companies that are pitching are just practicing and not conducting a securities offering. None of the companies that are pitching here today intend for this to be a general solicitation. So here's how this works today. Each company is going to come up here, and they will have 5 minutes with slides to share their overall business presentation. After that, our panelists are going to have 10 minutes to ask clarifying questions and provide feedback to these presentations. We've got 2 great panelists here from Idea Fund Partners. Idea Fund Partners has been a partner of Pitch Breakfast now, I think since just about the very beginning, and is with us every quarter, once a quarter, to support and meet some of the companies that we have presenting here today. From the Idea Fund Partners board, we have Chris Halligan, who is a partner and COO at Payzer, and also an operating partner at Idea Fund Partners. And we have with us Chris Langford. Chris is a partner also at Idea Fund Partners and has been on our panel board many times. So, gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us. It's nice to be here.
And for our presentations, we have 3 great companies. From Davidson, we have Lucid Drone, Andrew Asher, CEO and co-founder of Lucid Drone. We're then going to hear from Khaled Khadha, founder and CEO of RacketAid. And then finally, to round it out, we're going to hear from the co-founder and CEO, Ryan Lee, of Hire Me Healthcare. So we're really looking forward to these presentations, and we hope that you guys continue to engage online while the discussion's going, and we'll see you in the breakout rooms afterwards. So with that, I'm going to ask Andrew to come on up.
It's a RacketAid.
All right, sorry. I'm going to have to ask Khaled to come on up. Oh. Sorry about that. Had those out of order. And in just a second, we'll go ahead and start with RacketAid's presentation. So whenever you are ready. And then you've got your click here. And then whenever you're ready, take it away.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Cal, and I'm with RacketAid.com. RacketAid is the first truly digital platform for racket stringing and customization by mail. So, racket sports are growing. In fact, in 2020, racket sales grew by 50%, and in 2019, they grew by 38%. Tennis activity overall actually grew by 10.8%. Compare that to 6.7% in 2019 and 6.4% in 2018. And that's just for tennis alone. There's no question that there's been a massive shift to e-commerce in the last several years. In fact, last year, Americans spent $861 billion with online US merchants. That creates a great opportunity for a product service like ours. Combine that with the fact that there's been retail woes in the United States for the past decade, and we believe that this creates an excellent opportunity for a sports technology company to rise. Over 144 US pro shops closed in the last 3 years. So that's where we come in. RacketAid aims to create a digital pro shop experience for the customer. What we're trying to do is provide a customer education and the tools that they need to learn everything they need to know about their equipment. We want to give them an all-in-one service so that they can tailor their equipment as well as customize it. We offer 2-day shipping to anywhere in the nation while providing a 24-hour service time guarantee. Our custom RacketAid box is able to fit 3-hole rackets, is insured, and is trackable. Not only that, our box is reusable. So if customers wish, they can actually save time and money on future orders. So here's a quick timeline of our short 11 months. I actually want to highlight a couple things that I'm really excited about. So we found that this business model could actually be replicated for 3 additional sports fairly quickly. So we added racquetball, badminton, and squash. And that actually grew our market size by 7 million additional customers. In 2021, we found a clever way to add customization to our product service. So we began offering stencils. So if mom wants to add a martini glass on the court, she's welcome to express herself that way. Or if a young kid wants to add an emoji, they can do that. Really cool value add-on. In 2021, we began our marketing campaign. So prior to that, it was all organic. And we were able to create the infrastructure for it, but we're still in the midst of trying to figure that out. And we think that's the next piece to take us to the next level. A quick breakdown of our competitive analysis. Really it's between 3 channels. It's going to be your pro shops, your online retailers, and your country clubs. But our focus is going to be on the online retailers due to their size and their online presence. Secondly, we also found that the majority of players are actually underserved. 42% of Americans are not within 25 miles of a local pro shop, but 68% are within 5 miles of a public court. So we see a great opportunity that's underserved. Here's a quick look at our top line revenue. As you can see, it's pretty consistent quarter over quarter, but it's based on organic sales. That's really what you're looking at. Quick breakdown of our results. What I like to focus on is that we've got an 11% customer retention rate, and on the right, you can see our price breakdown. So I'm sure you're probably wondering about market size. If you look at the combination of the 4 sports, that's a total of 23.7 million active racket sports players. The majority being in tennis with 17.8 million. So this is our team. It's a 4-man team with diverse backgrounds to meet our needs. But we're certainly going to need to grow in talent as the company grows as well. We're really proud of our partnerships. It helps us build our brand authority. These partners are pretty diverse in their missions, and they've really assisted us as leaders in the industry. So while you kind of glance at some of these numbers and results, I really want to focus on data collection. Like I said earlier, we view ourselves as a sports technology company, and the data that we've been able to acquire, we think brings tremendous value to the industry. So our long-term objective, what's going to take us from lemonade stand on the internet to a real viable company? Well, we believe we need to win 51% of our direct-to-consumer searches within 2 years. As we grow our sales, which will come from these searches and our marketing campaign, we're going to need to scale up and be able to have the stringing network that we need to grow. And of course, we need to advance our website operations. That means better applications, customer service, website optimization. These are all going to be key to really uprooting the business. So really the ask, even though this is just a practice round, is for $100,000, we think that's going to take us where we need to be. It's going to assist us in paving the way for our marketing and advertisement campaign, as well as getting the necessary talent that we need to meet demand. Why now matters? Well, we think proof of concept has been established. Our business model cash flow is positive. Our margins are great. We're the first and only company that does this. So with the decline of retail and the boom of e-commerce, what better time to join? Thank you, and I'll open up the floor to questions. Thank you, everyone.
Way to go. Good job. Very flexible, ready to respond when you got put on the spot.
Yeah, that was my first one, too.
Yeah, exactly. You did great. You did fantastic.
First pitch.
So I play tennis 100 times a year, right? Just started a few years ago. Really love the game, and I'm glad to see that you're kind of catering to that industry. I want to ask you a question. There's a data point in your slide presentation that says you have 11% customer retention. Yes. Right? Could you define that a little more fully? Could you talk through what does that mean? Yeah,
so that's only been based on the 237 orders that we have currently, and 11% of those customers are actually repeat customer. Interestingly enough, well, to answer your question, those 11%, as long as they've made one additional order past one, we've counted them as a repeat customer. Secondly, one interesting thing that we found about our service is when we get a repeat customer, the average order size actually increases. Because what we're finding is, because we're 11 months, people will be like, okay, well, let's try out the service. They try it out, they send one. They get it back and they're impressed and they're like, okay, well, let me send my partner, my son, my daughter's racket, so the order size increases.
So when I saw that statistic, the way that I interpreted it, and I may have interpreted it incorrectly, was that 89% of the people aren't coming back, right? And like, is that, like, can you help me understand, of all the people who come in, right, how many of them return to use the service again? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so I probably should have had that. I would say it's 11% as repeat customers, but also this is an important fact to keep in mind for how our service works. For most tennis players, right, exactly. For most tennis players, the sport is seasonal, and secondly, the amount of times that you restring your racket are based on the amount of times that you play per week. So the typical rule of thumb is if you play once per week, you're going to restring your racket once per year. If you play 5 times per week, you're going to restring your racket 5 times per year. So that may give a better gauge, but I'll be able to actually get that answer.
So I think my main question is this, right? This seems like a novel idea, right? And it's good that you have some customers. It's good that you have some revenue, right? Who loves this? Who are the customers that just totally love and need this service? Do you know who those people are?
Yes, we do.
Okay, who are they?
So what we found is they're actually not the advanced or the pro players. And this was our philosophy from the beginning, is it's going to be more of the leisurely player, the family that just has 2 rackets that are sitting in their garage that don't have any use, and they want to play leisurely, but they don't really know much about it. They're the ones that are finding the most gain from this service. They want to bring their racket out, bring it to life. They're the ones that are really enjoying it, and Racket 8 is helping them get to that next level in their hobby for the sport. So it's mostly leisurely players.
Are there enough of those people to make a business out of this?
We believe so, and that's really the gamble.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so great job. I've got a bunch of questions too. So give me a sense, so if I'm this person, I am one of these people that has multiple rackets in my garage, right? And like, oh, let's pull them out. How does sending it away to you compare versus just going down to, say, Dick's and buying a new racket? Like, for someone who plays a couple times a year.
No, that's an excellent question, and that's the main way that we've tried to define the quality of our product service and why we call ourselves a digital pro shop. We want to give customers the experience. Well, first of all, Dick's is going to string your racket really poorly. It's probably going to be done by somebody who's not certified. All of our stringers are certified to do it accordingly, and we guarantee that we're going to meet your specifications. Secondly, we add tremendous value add-on. We're giving customers an overgrip and dampener with every service. We're giving them premium string choice. We're allowing them to customize their racket with stencils. So we're really trying to give an all-inclusive service and an all-in-one-stop shop if you're going to take the time to send your racket for us to completely renovate it.
Because that does, I think along Chris's line, it feels a little niche of the like, I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert, I have a pro shop for that. I'm not a 4-time-a-year person who could care, I don't even know what I need from a stringing perspective. As long as it's not broken, I can play. Like it does feel like a small, so one thing when you're defining your market is, so you talked about the number of players, but one thing you want to do is translate that to dollars for me, right? So these are the number of players, but these are the number of players we're targeting. This is the average times a year they get restrung. This is our average cost for restringing equals my annual opportunity, right? So help me, as a VC, I want to get a sense of how much of the market I need to own in order to get to a size that I love.
Could you go back? Yeah, I think you had a table that said the average order size.
There was an AOV.
Yeah.
It was like 50 something, I believe.
Yeah, just the average order
$51 or
size?
something.
Yeah,
There you go.
right.
$60. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And I agree on the retention rate. I think the idea of saying repeat customers is feels a lot better to me. Like, hey, 11% are already repeat customers as opposed to a retention rate.
Right.
Is a big one. The other question that I had, one thing too is like, if you have a UX, if you can show me a little bit of the product. So walk me through, I scan this or I go on and this is how I navigate through.
Yeah.
Maybe you have some proprietary way of helping me understand a way to string it or some customer experience. I'd love to like see the product just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's in there.
I've actually got it over, I've got the physical product over next to my computer, but maybe I could show it if that's
sure.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I can walk through the
Great.
experience.
Yeah, sure, I'll help you out. Is this,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, you got it.
Right, so basically it all starts with the website where customers will just go and place the order. I mean, they'll learn about what they're gonna get. And once they place the order, we send them this custom Racket-Aid box. So this box is super durable. It can hold up to 3 rackets, and it's insured and trackable. Once they get it inside of the box, they're actually gonna find the following. They're gonna get their prepaid shipping label, they're gonna get their shipping instructions, and then lastly, they're gonna get the customer fillable worksheet. I'll get to why it's not digital in a second, but basically, they're gonna have their options for specifications, they're gonna have a QR code to learn about their options as well. Once they're complete, they put it back in the box, it's sent to our fulfillment center, or we string it within 24 hours.
Hey, Cal, I want to talk about the fundraise that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's my opinion that you've got a good early start on something that has potential. And I think if you go to most professional investors, they're going to view you as too early, right? And I don't know if you'd share that perspective, right? But I think I think if you got a meeting with the top 100 VCs, within 500 miles, you might be disappointed in the outcome.
Yeah.
Because you're just so early. And I think going to raise the money, especially the amount of money that you're looking to raise, I would really advocate to you that you look for an angel who loves tennis, right? And because here's the deal: if you go on AngelList, I don't even know if AngelList is still a thing, right? But it was. But if you found somebody who was passionate and really interested in tennis and could really get behind the spirit of the product, that's going to be the place where I think you're going to find the most traction in finding someone who will provide you with the capital to take this to the next level, right? And so I could be an example. I am specifically not in this case, but I think I would really advocate that to you. And I have an additional question. Did you want to say something about that, about what I just said?
Well, one thing I would say is maybe if that person was a tennis pro at one of the major complexes here, only because from a distribution perspective, if they're an investor, all of a sudden they're going to tell everyone that plays there, and that'll be a customer acquisition
That's the other thing.
strategy.
I think that your direct approach is good and interesting, right? But there's a man in Charlotte, North Carolina, who's a good friend of mine. His name is David Yett, okay? And David knows 500 people who could be your customer, right? And if David told me, hey man, use this thing to get your racket strung, I would, right? I just would. And I don't know how many Davids there are in America. I gotta guess there's a couple thousand, right? Is there any way to incorporate a pro at a club into what you're doing as a partner, as a distributor, somehow for him to participate, or him or her?
That's a great question. So one of our partners, let me go to that slide, is actually tennisspin.com. He's a professional tennis coach in San Francisco. He also owns a pro shop. He has seen 4 pro shops in San Francisco close just this year alone. So as a result, he's bombarded.
When you say pro shops are closing,
Yeah.
as a prospective investor, I don't view that as a sign of opportunity.
You don't?
No, I interpret that as this market's not great, right? I don't know if you view it that way, but it's like I don't hear, hey man, I hear a shrinking market.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I guess that's
Depends.
why.
I'd say it depends. I think if you were to tell me the number, I think when you coupled it with the number of people playing is
Right.
going
Yeah.
up, and the
Yeah.
physical
Emphasize
mom and
that.
pops
Yeah.
are shrinking.
Tennis grew faster than any other sport in America during the pandemic.
Right, and that's
Right.
true.
Yeah, right. But it is true.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And one last thing,
Sure.
sorry, let me just get it. So you had a team slide. So
Yeah.
the two things that I noticed just really quick that there was a professional, right? Like
Yeah.
the thing, when you're talking about team at this stage, that's 99% of what matters of why I'm gonna write a check if I'm an angel. Talk more about the team and specifically relate to me what your tennis and or e-commerce experience, because I'd like to know that you have some sort of passion or experience in this particular niche.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah, good job.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Cal. All right, so let me just kind of move ahead here. We've got, so up next, we're going to have Lucid. So I had these a little out of order, but Andrew with Lucid is going to be next. But before we get to that, we do want to let everybody know that if you check your inbox after today's event, you're going to get a thank you email, thank you for attending, and also a link to a quick survey, because we want to hear from you, right? Are you ready for live events? Do you want to go to a viewing party, right? What is the next step for Pitch Breakfast? We're in the process of figuring that out. We're experimenting with events like today, and we want to hear from you to see what do we need to be doing next month and in the months to come. So we really look forward to seeing your responses on that, and you'll see that in your inbox later this afternoon. So with that, I'm going to ask Andrew to come on up here and introduce Andrew with Lucid.
Thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Andrew with Lucid, and we're building autonomous drones for labor-intensive jobs. There's no doubt about it, drones are transforming industries, but when most people think of drones today, they think of small drones that merely take nice pictures and videos and observe the world around them. At Lucid, when we think of drones, we think of industrial drones that perform productive, labor-intensive tasks that physically affect the world around them. These drones are capable of disrupting markets like cleaning, agriculture, and a whole host of other spraying applications. At Lucid, we're starting with the cleaning space because this market is ripe for disruption today. Traditional cleaning companies are currently relying on difficult, expensive, and dangerous methods. Let's take, for example, an 8-story office building. If you wanted to go and clean this with traditional methods, it would likely take a crew of workers days, if not weeks, to get it done. But with our drones, this job can now be done in hours. Beyond that, you may need to rent a 120-foot lift that's going to cost over $10,000 a month, while our drones cost customers only $3,000 a month. And lastly, suspending human workers well above ground from lifts, ladders, scaffolds, it leads to a multitude of accidents and deaths each and every year. With our drones, these workers are relocated to the ground, so no one has to get hurt, but most importantly, no one has to die. This is a picture of our custom cleaning drone. We lease our drones to cleaning customers for $3,000 a month. Here it is in action. One cleaning drone can replace an entire crew on a scaffold and clean up to 5 times more efficiently. These drones are capable of cleaning anything from stone to roofs, windows. You name the building surface, our drones can clean it. What makes this really unique is we're building frontier technology, but we found a way to make it easy to use today and have landed top-tier customers like Mercedes-Benz Stadium and Softwash Pros USA. We currently have $38,000 in monthly recurring revenue already launched, with LOIs for over 60 drones that would lead to almost $200,000 in monthly recurring revenue. For us, software is a really strong competitive advantage. We're often flying in indoor environments or in dense urban environments where most drones can't even fly. But we leverage interference-resistant sensors and have a universal flight mode that allows us to fly in these very complicated and challenging conditions. But with our computer vision and a whole host of sensors, we're currently empowering our drones to be able to create a point cloud map in real time and autonomously navigate their surroundings to completely automate these service jobs. From a data perspective, we've created a pipeline that is currently empowering us to provide an unprecedented level of support in the drone industry. We collect this data to do predictive and proactive maintenance for our customers. So we can say, hey, Chris, your back left motor is no longer performing at peak power output, and actually send you a new motor ahead of, say, a potential failure in flight. But as I mentioned on the last slide, we're programming our drones to fly autonomously. And since we lease this technology, we own that data and will be amassing a large portfolio of automated flights. And now what this means is we become really sticky in the eyes of our customers because we now own the autonomous flight patterns to all of their service work. Lastly, hardware is something that creates opportunity for us. By building the hardware in-house, not only can we control costs, but it also gives us a lot of flexibility to quickly iterate upon our product design, as well as continue to evolve as the market evolves and meet the changing needs of the market. Last year at the onset of the global pandemic, we took our core technology from the cleaning drone and were able to launch a disinfecting drone in a matter of weeks to satisfy that need. We're currently focused on a $12 billion market opportunity for cleaning alone. But as I mentioned, with this core technology, we can then expand and launch new products like agriculture and painting and target a much larger total addressable market. But our vision at Lucid is much broader than just spraying applications. Our mission is to elevate safety, efficiency, and humanity by building the world's most productive drones, whether that be for spraying applications, constructions, and beyond. We put together an exceptional team to execute this vision. As founders, we went through Y Combinator and were recently selected to the Forbes 30 Under 30 list. We've surrounded ourselves with veteran sales talent, as well as top-tier engineers from places like Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, Georgia Tech, and former drone startups and robotics companies. We're currently raising $1.5 million to accelerate growth. We'll use this capital to continue to scale our sales and distribution nationally, refine our product, as well as create a more robust customer experience. Again, we're Lucid, and we're building autonomous drones for labor-intensive jobs. Thank you.
Great job. I know we've had a chance to talk on this before, so super exciting on this. I think one of the things that I love is when you're highlighting the cleaning side, it comes across as the 10x better solution, right? It's faster, it's cheaper, it's safer, it feels like a no-brainer, when you're pitching it. So that's always, and obviously several gigantic markets. I think, so one question that I have is, what's the cost? What's the cost for a drone today to put one together?
If you wanted to say take an off-the-shelf industrial drone from another manufacturer, it will range anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000, and that's actually where we started. We thought, let's take the path of least resistance and try to take an off-the-shelf drone and build hardware and software on top of it. So we went to the largest drone manufacturer, the most respected at the time, quickly realized, one, it didn't have the technical capabilities for what we want, because purpose-built drones, they truly have to be built from the ground up, they can't be bought, but there are a whole host of business headaches. We had these trivial issues with these drones, like a motor failed, or they upgraded to the wrong firmware. And the shortest time frame they ever fixed one of these issues was 4.5 months. So we were just hemorrhaging cash during that time period and realized we had to start building our own drones because you can't just take them off the shelf.
And how long does it take? And are you having any supply chain issues associated
So
with
luckily,
getting those?
with our magnitude, we don't have any supply chain issues. And right now, that's, let's say, in the magnitude of hundreds, we know we won't have a bottleneck. What's really exciting for us as a hardware company is for us to reach, say, a magical number of 100 million in ARR, we don't need hundreds of thousands or millions of hardware products out there. Our magic number is 3,000. We need 3,000 drones in air to get to 100 million in ARR.
Okay. So one thing I was thinking about is, so what about regulatory issues, right?
Yeah.
Obviously drones have been, have some challenges. Is cleaning a particular solution? Is there a human in the loop element that enables it to be regulatory compliant? Walk me through any regulatory issues.
There are a ton of regulations in the drone space, and that's part of why we started with cleaning, because we saw a place to go and build frontier technology where we didn't have to wait for the actual regulations to evolve. You hear lots of talk about delivery drones today. People can build the technology to deliver packages. Now, will the regulations evolve in time to actually meet that technology innovation? So that's where we're focused on cleaning. But with our disinfecting drone, that's essentially a more complicated indoor version of an outdoor agricultural drone. So we would like to expand to the agricultural drone in the future. But right now, the agricultural market is more heavily regulated, so we're not yet penetrating that space. Does that make sense?
So, great job.
Thank you.
So you said it's a $12 billion market today. Yeah. Are there big companies that do this, or are they regional, or?
So there's a whole host. You've got anywhere from your mom and pops, just kind of owner-operator companies, all the way up to companies like ABM that make billions of dollars and are publicly traded. So we're really looking at ways we can consolidate the market, whether that be through looking at equipment rental companies that are currently, say, renting lifts, where we're eating into their market share, because our favorite way to prospect customers is, what equipment do you currently use today? And then there are also other, say, trade organizations that consist of these large, let's call them 10 to 100 million plus cleaning companies as well.
Is your go-to-market, do you want to lease these to service providers?
Correct.
You do? All right. And so how do you gain access to those folks? Because
Yeah.
they're probably pretty big companies and they've got a lot of capital
Yeah.
invested in their existing stack, right?
Yeah, so we're currently looking at it as a phased approach. So right now we're focused more on the smaller players, closer to these owner-operators, where they can make quick decisions and we don't have to involve a lot of parties. We found these are our best early adopters, but the way we penetrate to get to that next phase 2 is really just through network effects. So we've got a lot of great partners like Spartan Chemical, the National Service Alliance, these really great brand name presences in the cleaning space. And it's really just getting a lot of face time with these people, because when you're targeting, say, a $100 million cleaning company, it takes a little bit of time to convince them, yes, I should change from the way I've always done something to now incorporating a drone. Even when you look at the numbers, it makes a lot of sense for them.
You said 3,000 drones get you to 100 million ARR,
Yep.
right? So and you lease, that assumes that you'd lease a drone for a month, right? Okay, good. So how many buildings get cleaned every day? Because I know
Yeah.
I see it, right? And like it's availability bias, but like,
Sure.
like in Charlotte, does this how many are getting cleaned today? Do you know?
So typically, each building, at least its windows on a commercial side, are cleaned about twice a year. There are over 5 million commercial buildings in the United States, but that doesn't account for all the other things our drones could clean, like industrial things, digester tanks, water towers, sports stadiums. The list kind of goes on and on.
What's the useful life of one? So how often would you have to replace the hardware?
So I'm happy to say we are still in the process of finding that out. We built our first base model back in the fall of 2019, and the motors and subframe, those are all still up and running. So right now we're conservatively predicting roughly a 2-year lifespan on most of our components.
Do you see, so obviously COVID was a little bit of a tailwind, particularly when it came to like stadium and entertainment venues, because you could do it really quickly, you could do it less or no human. Does that become a harder sell to those type of venues once they're maybe less concerned about that?
Yeah, what we found is the disinfecting drone was really hot several months ago, and some of the interest from that has started to tail off. And that's why we're now excited to explore the agricultural space, because the technology is honestly fairly close to being identical. There's not a lot we have to change there. It's just a different market. But what we found with the disinfecting drone is we were able to get these top tier customers and go inside NFL stadiums. That helped us capture the attention of a much broader market. So, I mean, even to date, we haven't really done outbound sales. We're still just responding to all these people who have seen what we've done at first on the disinfecting drone, but now they hear about the cleaning drone, and that's kind of the hot topic.
Do you envision a future where you cut the cleaning company out? Like, do you always see yourself as a hardware lease kind of component lease, or do you start to supply the entire service and capture the whole?
It's something we've thought a lot about. I think in the long run vision of what we're trying to do with the product, of making it fully autonomous, there's a path by which instead of going to a more fragmented cleaning market, we could go directly to the property managers or the property owners, where they manage a whole portfolio of properties in Charlotte or Atlanta, and it's a much more consolidated sales approach for us. But for us to be able to do that, we need to continue to advance the technology.
You know, I was thinking about our business a little bit. We sell software to home improvement contractors, and going direct has been good for us. However, we partner now with the world's largest plumbing wholesale distributor.
Okay.
And it's a real tailwind. And so I think that a really important decision that you need to make is how direct are you going to be, right? Because if you are direct in any sense, all the entrenched players are going to view you as a competitive threat.
Yeah.
And if you're merely a supplier to people who go and provide these services, they'll be your ally, but then you're sort of relying on them, right?
That's a really good point.
Like, do you know which one you're going to do? Like, it sounds like you want to be the supplier, right?
And we really do want to be the supplier, because we want to focus on the technology, just knowing what our core technology is capable of doing. It's by no means limited to chemicals. Each day, even our own customers are asking us, could we use this for firefighting? Could we use this for sealants? We've done a proof of concept test with painting. So our largest addressable market opportunity is going to be through being that technology provider and staying focused as a drone technology company rather than, say, a drone cleaning company.
A channel-focused approach requires a lot of discipline, and the customer intimacy that we needed, right, was with the distribution partner, right? Because their needs and the end customer's needs have some overlap, but the distribution partner's needs are, in many cases, distinct, right? Do you know what those distributors, do you know who they are and do you know what they need?
And so on the cleaning distributor side, so the cleaning distributors are typically like the ones that are selling, say, your equipment that are the pressure washers or your floor scrubbers. So we've learned that they have different needs than what our current business model is set up to do. I know we've had conversations with some of the largest equipment rental companies in the world, and that's a really attractive, scalable sales opportunity for us. But there's a little bit of mending to our model because their typical model is we buy assets and then rent it out. And our typical model is we like to rent and lease out our equipment. So,
I think as you go, you got a great pitch, and I think that you're like ready for a small or medium-sized institutional investor. They're going to want crisp answers on the distribution approach, direct or indirect. And are you testing that, or do you know where you're going, and what are you going to do to evaluate those?
Yeah, that all makes sense. Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was good.
Thank you.
Awesome, thanks Andrew. And that's another fantastic presentation. One of the greatest things about Pitch Breakfast is we always get a wide variety of companies, different industries, different stages, and it's great to kind of see what they look like at these different stages. So thank you so much. All right, so before we go on to our last presentation, we do have an announcement to make for Innovate Charlotte. We have our very first Founders and Funders Happy Hour of the year. So this is going to be one of the first startup community, sort of everybody come on out event that's this summer. And that's going to be on June 24th at 5 p.m. And that is going to be located at the Not Just Coffee and Huga Co-working over on J Street. So to register for that event, again, that's June 24th at 5 p.m. The website is inclt.org/happy-hour. So it's Innovate Charlotte's website -happy-hour. And if you are an investor or if you are a startup founder, we would love to have you come out there, mix and mingle, say hello to people who you might not have seen in over a year and a half. We look forward to seeing you there. We'll include that link in the email to go out after this event. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to our third and final company today, and that is Ryan Lee, co-founder and CEO of Hire Me Healthcare. So let's welcome Ryan.
All right, good morning, everyone. Chris and Chris, thanks for coming. People out in the ether, thanks for tuning in. I'm Ryan Lee. I'm a co-founder and CEO of Hire Me Healthcare. At Hire Me Healthcare, we connect healthcare professionals to those who need them most. Now, what does that mean? First, we have to start with the problem. We're looking to address a monumental problem that the last year exposed as way bigger than we all even realized beforehand. And that is a shortage in healthcare professionals. It's a shortage in the staffing industry. There's plenty of reasons and sub-problems that underlie this, but to briefly run it down, it takes an average of 89 days to fill an RN vacancy. That's a national average. Jobs remain open, nurses are needed, but they're not there. One of the best ways to fix that is through travel RNs. That's an expensive process. We're not trying to take away from the travel RNs, but the extra cost added when you fill that position, doubling the hourly wage, that doesn't go to the nurse, that goes to the agency. That's a cost hospitals do not need to be wasting when there are more efficient methods. So for every 20 travel RN spots that could have been filled, hospitals could save on average $3 million. And this need is consistent and growing right now. The shortage is not going away. The national RN vacancy rate is 9%. And that sounds small, but there's 3.8 million nurses in this country. 9%, it's actually 9.9. We went conservative, but that's 380,000 vacancies. That's 380,000 people that could be helping saving lives around our country. The turnover rate is 15%. So additionally, people are changing, people are moving, they're moving to new cities. We see it in Charlotte all the time. And yeah, there were 3.1 million RN jobs before COVID. That's expected to grow. It has grown up to 3.8. So Hire Me Healthcare wants to step in with a solution. We developed a web and a mobile-based platform to make this easy. We instantly connect healthcare professionals to job opportunities in their immediate geographic area. Think of us as an Indeed crossed with Zillow. It's a chance to reach out on both sides. It's a two-sided marketplace for us. We have the supply side of healthcare professionals, and then we have the demand side of the hospital systems, the private clinics, and the nursing homes, all looking to find people. So through this process, you can see this, we're working with dual boot partners right now to develop. We're in an early stage. We were founded by Trey Ennis. He has his background working in the operations department of, won't name one of the largest healthcare systems in North Carolina. And the reason I won't name is because that's where he observed the problems that we are looking to solve here. He saw overqualified, perfectly qualified applicants sliding through the cracks because they didn't meet the algorithmic blocks that it takes to get to your resume in front of the proper hiring manager. And we partnered with Dual Boot after running a couple beta tries. We've been de-risking this over time, finding proof of concept. We partnered with Dual Boot, who's, as you saw in the advertisement before, they're a major developer here in Charlotte. They're doing a fantastic job. We're in the final stages. We're launching in just a couple months this summer. We have the mobile platform. If you see that's, you can see the map component there. That's where we get the Zillow. Right now, healthcare professionals have to find jobs based on who paid Google AdWords the most. And that's not the way you want to decide your livelihood and your future. On the hiring side, we put all of the healthcare industry's most valuable fixed asset. It's human people, it's human capital right in front of them. So far, despite having not fully launched, in our pre-launch and our beta phases, we've made 30 placements and counting. We've experienced 5 times the click-through rate of Google, and we've experienced a 3 times faster fill rate. That takes that 90-day average down to around 27 days. We want to focus right now on why we are going to win. We're not pretending we're the first people to invent an industry-specific platform for hiring. We're not inventing the wheel here, as much as I wish we were. But Hire Me Healthcare, we are focused on North Carolina. We know that to get off the ground here, we need to focus on a niche. This starts with our team. We're all Charlotte natives. You don't hear that very often anymore. We have Trey, who I already mentioned with his background in healthcare operations. Almost said the facility again. My background is in entrepreneurial law, business, venture capital, and the humanitarian side, which is actually why Idea Fund is so interesting to me. I have long-term goals of finding a way to apply this in the humanitarian context, but that's way down the road. Through our focus in North Carolina, we have a database of over 190,000 nurses. That's every nurse in North Carolina. It's updated quarterly. We have the means to access. This is clunky. We just got a pro forma done of our revenue model. The most important part to see here is that it does not take many placements for our gross margins to go up. There are 11,000 plus vacancies in North Carolina right now. We do not need to fill a ton of those just to get into revenue. We're planning on a waterfall slide as soon as but we just got this pro forma done with our fractional CFO. We're in the process of raising a SAFE. We're 180K through 500, 3 million valuation cap. This has mostly been through friends and family. We're looking to close the rest through angels and anyone else interested. The biggest part of that is growing our team. New hires, someone with a healthcare background to run our sales department, someone who speaks that lingo, someone to recruit our nurses and build our brand on both sides. So I know I'm out of time, so thank you all, and we're Hire Me Healthcare.
So could you go back one chart?
Yeah.
So this says that you're going to sell seats?
Yep.
And right, so who are you going to sell those seats to?
So the seats would be hiring managers. So there are 2,800 private practices in North Carolina alone. I believe it's 560 plus nursing homes and about 160 hospitals. Hospitals would average probably 4 to 7 depending on the size.
So 49 is like what's the big market that's a derivative of? 5,000, 3,000? Like what are you talking about?
A lot of the early stage seats, we're going to be looking to private practices and nursing homes. They don't make as many hires in the beginning, but it's just a larger market to go through, and the sales cycle is a lot longer for these major healthcare systems and their red tape.
So I'm saying if you gross all those up, like what's the total market that you'd be pulling those 49 seats out of? Do you know?
The total market in
North Carolina.
I don't know exactly how many, because it's a number of how many hiring managers. And right now, I can tell you, again, I'll avoid names, but one of the large healthcare facilities here just turned over their entire system and is changing their hiring practices, and now they have a different number of hiring managers. I would say in North Carolina alone, it's probably around 2,800 facilities, so they at least have one person in each. I would say it's probably around 4,000 or 5,000.
Okay. Right. And they're going to pay a monthly fee to you in exchange for using the software?
Yeah, we're easing into these 5-minute pitches. I did not get to our pricing structure.
You're doing great. You're doing fantastic, right?
But our pricing structure is a monthly subscription, and then we're going to take a percentage of 5 or 10%. We're still workshopping that in our market research of the first year's salary.
And so how much do they pay for a seat?
For a seat, it's $250 a month.
$250 a month, and then you then take 5 to 10% of the salary of the people that get hired.
Yep.
The first year. Okay, good. Right. And how many placements get made in North Carolina every year?
Well, it's the 15% turnover rate carries here. So out of the market of 190,000 total, it's between 15 and 20,000, I believe.
Okay. All right. Good.
So one question that I have is, so the problem is defined as, X number of healthcare workers shortage, right? And the solution is centered around, let's call it a job board. Let's just make it, like, to oversimplify it, perhaps. Like, I guess the question is, like, are there these nurses that are out there that are unemployed, right? That are just like, man, I can't find a job. And now all of a sudden they have a place? Or is it because there aren't enough nurses? So I guess I'm trying to connect the solution to the problem. My wife is a nurse, and she's squarely in the, I don't want to go back to nursing bucket, right? So she's probably one of the people you might count in this bucket as, like, causing some of this shortage, but it's not because I don't know that she's ever had she probably could get a job this week is probably the way she's always thought about it as an RN. So I'm curious, like, when you go to a healthcare provider, let's say, are they saying, man, we are just having a hard time finding applicants? Are they saying we're having a hard time finding good ones? Or I'm finding a disconnect between the problem and the solution.
Yep. Well, there is a margin of error in there because, there are some RNs that just say, I'm done. But that pool lowers when they don't recertify. They're not going to keep their certification. I didn't keep my law license when I was living overseas, kind of thing. I think the two indicia are the vacancy rate in hospitals and the turnover time. So the fact that there are these 380,000-ish national holes, and it takes 90 days to fill them, and they're scrambling to outside components to do it. It's not for a lack of a stack of applications, that's for sure. It's for a lack of efficiencies in the system, and that's essentially what we're trying to do. Essentially, put a career fair of applicants and hiring managers together where everyone can see everyone. The hiring managers can see everyone who's qualified and connect easily, and we've shown that does dramatically reduce the turnover rate. And I think that these positions would fill quicker because when they're empty, if it takes 3 months to fill them, that number is going to aggregate.
That to me is the lead-in, right, from the problem is there's inefficiency in hiring of nurses that causes a shortage, right? So today it takes 90 days to hire a nurse. They have stacks of applicants, but there's inefficiency in the hiring process. Through this solution, we expect to shrink that to X, and therefore employers are happy, we're better staffed, et cetera, right? Because I think that strikes me as the problem solution match that I'd be looking for.
Okay.
And if I can, so then that means that really your customer are the hirers, right? That's really who you're focused on.
Right.
Because you're saying they've got enough candidates today, right? But just sorting through them is too hard. Okay.
Yep.
And that flows through to the revenue model eventually.
I'm a little skeptical of that. To me, if you could illustrate that while you're talking, to say, let me give you an example, right? This is why it's hard to be a hiring manager for RNs today, because like if anybody's hiring now, the problem is not too many candidates.
Right.
The problem is not enough candidates.
Exactly.
And so like for me to imagine a hiring manager who's got 250 candidates and they got to get through them, well, I'm like, give me that problem, right? I would take that one, right?
Yep, and that is part of our market research. It does not actually make sense on its face. If there's enough applicants and you should be able to filter, you should have a system in place that filters through the qualified ones and are able to make that connection the way a lot of industries do. And we're still getting deeper into exactly why the specific pain points do vary by hospital and clinic, but overall it is kind of a phenomenon, but it's clearly taking place, and I'll do a.
And I do wonder too, the other element is like how nursing is flowing. Like I think about my wife's career. You know, most people start in the hospital because they get the most experience, and then they're like, I'm never going back. I'm never working at a hospital. Like there's some people who love the extra comp that generally comes with working at a hospital, but most nurses that I've ever run into hate the stress and understaffing and sort of businessification of healthcare that happens in a hospital. And so then when they can find an ambulatory or a clinical setting where they can move off, it's a little bit less stressful. So I'm almost curious, again, if you were to say, here's how nurses are flowing, if this might be a solution for like clinics to almost like capture all of those nurses that kind of want to move out of that particular
Absolutely,
segment.
Chris. And that is why we want to focus a lot on the private practice side, because as people do transition, I mean, our focus a lot with the nursing schools is a lot of the hospital jobs, because as you said, that's usually the entry point. So when we go to them, that's kind of the candidate pool that we're trying to bring to these sales cycles with the major hospitals. And then the flow continues as well. There's a giant home health market that we know not to bite off more than we can chew in the beginning, but the idea of funneling a lot of practice applicants or people in the later stages that still want to make money, or that 3 days a week, 3 12-hour shifts is not enough for them. They have time to make extra money. The home health sector, and experienced a lot of that personally lately, how important that is. It is a flow, just like you said, and we're as we grow into these stages right now, we're looking to master that and figure it out.
Observation too is, so this is a pitch, right? And so pitches tend to be high level and visual, and tell me a story. And it generally flows something like, this problem exists, we have a solution, let me tell you about the product, let me give you a sense of the market opportunity, here's what's innovative about what I'm doing, here's how I plan to go to market and make money, here's what I've done, here's my team, here's what we've done to date, and here's what I'm asking, right? It's like there's kind of this storyboard that you flow through. So I think, the more stuff you put on a slide like this, right? So if I were to say, what would you, for a financial slide, I think I'd rather see something that's centered around, hey, this is the number of seats and revenue or something, projections, right? Because
a little breakdown of, this is how we're going to go make money. We're going to sell seats to these providers and then take a cut of the salaries when they hire people.
Yeah, because I didn't get that.
Yeah, and like in this chart, it's great, right? This like I don't super believe this one.
I was just going to say.
It's like this should be the plan, and let's aim for it. If it's me, I'm not pitching this to an audience.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I did not intend to do that. I actually had a personal emergency that took me away all day yesterday, so this is all I was able to get in last minute.
You did great.
Sorry.
This is
totally.
Yeah.
I think the one thing is like thinking about a pitch. Pitches are just like a means to get to the next deeper conversation. Yeah. And so the thing that I'll do is when I'm looking at a pitch, I'm almost finding, because I have to sift through 2,000 deals a year, I'm finding a reason not to have the next conversation. I need to like focus my time. So I'd be honest, I'd look at this and I'd go, so let me get this straight. You're going to make like a 90% margin. Either you don't need me, I don't believe it, or you haven't thought enough about this, so I'm going to pass, right? But if you were to just say, I make money these ways and we think we can get 400 or 500, I'd be like, okay, that seems believable, right?
And by the way, Ryan, you know the answer to all the questions that belong on the slide that replaces this, because you said them to me, right? So you know, like you've got it all, right? I just think this is something that y'all have in your appendix, for later. And what you want is the high level thing that says, let me just show you kind of how we do it. Right.
Yep.
Absolutely. This was with much reluctance. That hurts my head to look at.
And I'll tell you, like, I sit on the 4th floor of an office building with dirty windows, Andrew. And
Except twice a year.
right, well, like in April, there were 2 people sitting out under a little umbrella by the little parking area during COVID, kind of still just post-COVID. And I was like, what in the world are these people doing? So I went down and asked them, what are you guys doing? And they said, we're recruiting nurses. I'm like, you are? Like, this seems like a terrible way to recruit nurses because you're sitting in a parking lot, right? And no one came by to talk to them. So there are people out there who feel this problem so much. And like, if you could illustrate this problem by finding somebody who's got this pain and put their words like into your pitch, I think it would help.
Did you get the contact of those parking lot people?
I know exactly. Below us.
Nice.
I'm serious. See me after class. I'll tell you where they are.
Absolutely.
Totally, yeah. Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. So that brings us to the conclusion of our pitches for today. So what's going to happen now is we're going to go on to Zoom. We're going to open the breakout rooms, and each one of the founders who presented today is going to be in a different breakout room. You'll be automatically assigned to one of these rooms so that you can network and ask questions of the founders. If you'd like to move to a different room, simply exit the room. It'll take you right back to the lobby, and we'll put you in the room that you'd like to be in. So just to keep it quick, we're going to do this automatically at first, but you can always request to go into another room. If you don't have the Zoom link, if you didn't register or can't find the Zoom link is actually pitchbreakfast.com/Zoom. That will take you to the Zoom room where we will all be in there. So we're going to open that up in just a moment. But before we do, we want to give a big thank you to all 3 of our founders. It is not easy to get up here and try to pitch your entire business in 5 minutes. So we really appreciate you taking your time to do this. It's usually a great learning experience for other founders who watch it. So thank you. Want to give it? Yes, thank you. We want to give a big thank you to our panelists, always asking insightful questions and really being a big help, not just to us and to the founders, but really to the community. So Chris and Chris, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. We want to give another thank you to Avid Exchange and the FinTech Generations Conference, which is going on right now. Again, as a reminder, if you'd like to attend FinTech Generations, you can register using code RTLVIP, stands for RevTech Labs VIP. You can register with that. That conference is going on through the rest of this week. And finally, we want to give a big thank you to all of you who joined the live stream with this, our first hybrid event, and especially those who checked out our very first viewing parties. I just got a text with a picture of the viewing party over at Cabarrus Center, and it looks great. We thank you guys so much for testing this out with us, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Pitch Breakfast in July. Be on the lookout for emails for that. Otherwise, we're going to see you in the Zoom rooms here in just a minute. Thank you, guys.